Hey, Sean. Nice to see you.
Hey.
Hiding behind the bit. Obviously, we saw training earlier and no Callum Hudson-Odoi, so I'm just wondering what the situation is there.
Yeah, we're just settling an issue down with him. We're hopeful it's nothing too serious, but he'll miss this one.
Obviously, Ben Morgan, not Callum, just seeing what I say.
It's okay, I'm right there with you. I know. I just thought I'd let it slide, but no, you point out. You've actually ruined yourself there.
Yeah,
I was going to do it, and then I thought, nah, I'm in a lenient mood. I heard it, and then thought, shall I? And then I thought, nah.
That's all right. I'll do it myself. Nothing to worry about, is him just missing this game?
No, well, hopefully it'll settle down pretty quickly, but we're waiting on further news. But nothing, well, not this far, nothing too serious.
Obviously, he's still without some senior players, including Chris Wood and Zinchenko.
Yeah.
So I presume, is it...
Yeah, Ola's still, he's not on the grass yet with us, but he's still going to take a bit of time. And Dylan Backway, he's getting fit. So, yeah, we're still missing a few without a doubt. And it'll be helpful, obviously, sooner rather than later when we can get them fit.
Big test then for the squad, this relentless shift.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good test, though. You know, you want players who are going to step in. You want them to, they're all desperate to play. So it's a great opportunity, you know, for players who haven't been necessarily starting, certainly under myself and before, maybe some of them. So, you know, it's a good opportunity for them. We want the players here to grow into themselves, not worry about, you know, replacing others, to actually go and take it on and take the shirt on.
Obviously, you've had a few weeks to assess the team, where you're at right now. Results have been fantastic in the last couple of weeks, but are you happy with sort of where the team's at and the general direction in which you're going?
I'm up with the general direction. I think there's still more to come from what we can do as a collective, that is. But they're certainly applying themselves very well. You know, I think like anything, you know, you're wondering when the Big Brother cameras turn off, you know, and I think they have, but they're still consistently delivering. You know, the demanding training's good. Trying to absorb and take on another manager's sort of view and trying to deliver it. So I've been very pleased, and they deserve a lot of credit for it so far. I've mentioned it when I first got here and I first was over Porto. You know, they're taking in a lot of information from different managers and having to adapt to each different person as it comes. And so far they've adapted to not just me, by the way, my staff as well. And they've been very accepting of the work that's getting done. And it's, some of it's been hard work, and they've delivered it very well.
I'm just wondering, sort of following on from what the manager was saying there as well, about, you know, obviously third coach of the season, always awkward, isn't it? But I'm just wondering how it's been, sort of, you know, learning so many different systems this season, and how easy it's been to sort of adapt, I suppose.
Yeah, as you said, everything's happened so quick. I think obviously you've got to adapt as quick as possible. And I think Sean and the staff have come in and done an amazing job since they've been here. You can tell the energy around the group has changed, and everybody's just working as hard as we can possible to get the results. And I think as the energy that he's brought here for the club, you can tell that bond and that strength that we've had before has all come back, and you can tell that we're wanting to fight for every game that we play in. We're determined to train even harder than we did, just to make sure that we're always ready and we're ready to go again. So, as I said, yeah, it was a quick turnaround of things that's happened, but things can happen in football where you've got to just be ready to go again and be ready to start fresh.
Do you personally feel liberated, a bit sort of freer now as well?
That's true.
No, I'll be honest, like, I feel like for myself as a player, you always want to do as much as you can to be involved and be playing games, and you want to be playing as much football as possible. So for myself, when the manager came in, you just want to just make sure that you're trying to impress as much as possible and give the best that you can be on the pitch and in training as well. So, yeah, as I said, for myself, just working hard every time, trying to give the best that I can do, and when opportunities come, just being ready for them.
Sure, finally for me, just obviously this game, you know, 1979 and all that. I presume it was too early for you to sort of remember the game?
No, I remember the goal. Everyone remembers that one. Trev Francis back stick rolling across the shot put ring, I think it was, on the Redgra or whatever it's called, and then Tartan, I believe Tartan track. So yeah, I remember that. Well, you laughing at that's how old I am, isn't it? I know he's thinking, look how old the gaffer is. No, I remember that. I don't know every detail of it, but I remember, you know, my parents watching, my dad mainly having the TV on and watching it. So yeah, and Bringun, who was involved at that time, he's a mate of mine. We played together at Chesterfield at the end of his and the beginning of my career. So, you know, there are some links to it, but not a. He's showing the medal actually. It's really tiny, really, really tiny. So, you know, there are some links to it, but not immediate links. But no, I think the club are doing proud. You know, both sides. You know, for a remembrance of a big day for both clubs, of course, but certainly for Nottingham Forest Football Club, that's without a doubt.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Anton. Owen Shipton for the BBC.
Hi, Sean. A bit of a follow-on, really, in terms of, because it's this fixture, this rematch, I don't know if you can call it that, how much more special and significant does it feel?
Well, I don't think that's for me and the group to worry about, but I think for the Forest fans have been back in this club for a very long time, and as said, both ex-players, from both groups and fans, and I think it certainly is for them, and a massive historical marker, of course, for the club and for the legendary Brian Clough and his players at that time. And I've been very fortunate to befriend a lot of them over my years of being back in Nottingham and seeing them at the sort of Thursday club through Johnny Owen, which he did with the film, of course, The Miracle Men. So I've been very fortunate to know them guys. So, like I say, I've touched the history of the club with them, making my own little piece of it now, I suppose, as manager. But even to get close to them days, it'd be remarkable because they were unbelievable days, and even though I know that from being a kid and growing up loving football, how powerful that period was.
How much confidence can you take from the result of the weekend, the win and the performance?
Well, I think it's just more belief for the players, really. They've accepted the work we've been doing. They've accepted the tactical side of the game, which that was a tactical performance, and I'm very pleased from that side of things. We know they can play. And then what about listening and putting into practice what we think can win? And they did that very well. So I think it just furthers the belief in the group and each other, which is important. And hopefully in ourselves, I've shared with them openly, we can only guide in what we think is the right direction. It's down to them and our trust in them to deliver. And they're certainly doing that on a daily basis and in the games. And I've been very happy with that. And I think there has been a real sort of reminder. I think Cal mentioned, there was a real connection here. I think everyone knew that last season. And when I got here, it wasn't broken. I just said it was stretched, that's all. And it sometimes happens. But I think there's a reconnection. Of course, results help that massively. But I'd like to think the feeling at the training ground that we've all kind of fostered, not just us, the staff, but the players joining in with that. I think there's a professional feel, but there's a bit of lightheartedness. We like to have a laugh with the players as well and try and get that bond. But when the whistle blows, they're ready. And so are we, and we will be again.
Callum, a couple for you. Given the European games we've had here so far already, what sort of atmosphere are you expecting tomorrow?
Hopefully lively. I think every game we play in anyways, the fans are amazing. They have full of energy every time, and I think that lifts us when we're on the pitch as well, gives us that extra 10% of energy to keep going and pushing. So yeah, hopefully the atmosphere will be buzzing, everyone will be ready to go, and as I said, hopefully we get a good result.
You guys have had just over a month working together now. I wonder what it's been like, how much has changed?
I think a lot. I think as what the manager said, it was a bit scratched a while ago, so I think he's come in now and you can tell the bonds there. The group has reconnected very well and everybody is just focusing on doing what we know best, which was playing football and enjoying football. So yeah, I think it's just the connections that were a bit lost for a bit of a while, but now I think everything's connecting back nicely. Everybody's working hard to do the right things and hopefully keep getting the good results.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Cheers.
Owen. Open it to the floor.
Excuse me.
Callum, obviously, playing back in Europe again, the last time you did was Leverkusen. It's obviously great for a footballer to be back on that stage. It's a big test, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. I think the competitions like that are amazing to be in. I think, as you said, playing in it before and enjoying my football, winning and scoring goals and assisting and winning it is nice. So I think for myself as a player and any player, you want to be playing in Europe. It's a big stage. Everybody watches it and wants to know how the team gets on. So yeah, it's an amazing feeling to be back in it as well.
Over 4 years ago, it was the Champions League win with Chelsea. I think that must seem a long time ago. It feels.
Yeah, it feels like a long time ago, to be fair. Yeah, as I said, things happen. You win a trophy like that, which is amazing, and it's a thing where you feel more hungry to go and win more and to enjoy the moment whilst it was there. But it's happened, it's gone. So now you just want to think about the future and hopefully trying to win more trophies like that as well.
Just tell me how you feel when you came on for the last 5 minutes on Saturday. Feeling good now?
Yeah, feeling much better. Just had a bit of a knock, which kept me out for a couple of games. But yeah, I'm feeling good, feeling ready to go. So yeah, feeling good.
Thank you. Sean, you mentioned the Thursday club there. I spent some time with them last week. It's obviously going to be a very emotional evening tomorrow. Obviously a little bit poignant with obviously Trevor and Larry in the last 2 years, 2.5 years passing away. They're obviously not going to be there with the families will be there. It's obviously going to be a sad day as well, isn't it? With some of the older players.
Well, yeah, I mean, I hope it'd be celebrated partly for the group and partly for them, guys who they lost from that group. But I think it's overall it'd be a celebration of where this club was and where it's come back to, because I think the big sort of U-curve it's been on for a long period. I think Warren played in that run the last time in Europe and Stoney as well. I think he scored 1-0 actually. I think it was Malmö. So yeah. So Yeah, but I mean, I don't like mentioning that because obviously now that I've mentioned it, he'll be drilling it into me again. Bore off. Yeah, so, they've certainly touched them days with Europe. We're revisiting, I've jumped on the bandwagon really because it was already a done deal to be in it. But back to the legends, if you like, it'll be a great night for them, I'm sure, knowing the respect they have for the football club. And them times, I think it'll be a great honour for all of them.
And just finally, obviously this competition's changed its format. You worked out how many points you probably need to get through?
No, just getting on with it. Yeah, I mean, it changed, as you rightly say, and I'm just getting on with it, and I think the players are. I mean, we're reminding them of the focus needed because you'll all know the game schedule over the next couple of months, and these are all things that sometimes get overlooked, but so far they've been steadfast in, my belief is always the next one's the most important one. I've never overthought, trying to plan 3-4 games in advance. You have to somewhat if you're getting players injured and they're, on the way back to fitness, they might have a timeline that fits that. But generally speaking, the next one's most important. And the last one doesn't know your next one. I've been saying it for years, and I reminded the players yesterday, what happened against Liverpool, albeit a very good performance from the players and delivery of a performance to win. But, it gets parked very quickly. You enjoy it, of course, and that's important. The players do enjoy their work. But, the next one comes around very quickly. And as I said, that one doesn't know you the next one. So we've got to make sure we're ready to perform and take this game on and go and win.
Any more for Callum before he departs?
I mean this in a really positive sense, but do you feel like there's more to come from you this season? Do you feel like you can go on another level?
100%. I feel like, as I said, coming to Forest has been an amazing move from the day one, and I think the football I've enjoyed since I've been here has been good. I think the boys have welcomed me very well when I first came here, and the group, as I said, had the bond and connection. So I feel like, as I said, the new manager's come in now and he's had full belief in everybody that's playing, and you can tell that the trust and connections are there between us and all the staff members. So yeah, 100% feel like there's another level for me to go up, and hopefully I'll do that this season as well.
You talk about that togetherness, so that was obviously a key factor last season to what you achieved. Do you feel like that's coming back now? Do you feel like that same atmosphere is developing here under Sean?
100%. As I said, I think from the moment he came in, you can tell the energy levels have risen and everybody's just ready and raring to go. I think, as you said, that we're all bonding very well with each other, whether it's off the pitch or on the pitch, trying to find the right connections between players and all the staff members trying to help as well, bringing the best out of all of us. So yeah, I feel like the connection is very there. We just got to keep the togetherness properly, making sure that we're doing everything right. And as I said, everything will fall into place perfectly.
Probably difficult while he's sat there. Is there anything...
No. I bet it's joyous for him. He's beside himself.
Is there anything that the manager and his staff have done in particular to help that bond come back?
I think it's just that the belief that he gives to all the players. I think that's the most important for us. I think when he's instructing us and giving us that information, it's us at the end of the day that goes on the pitch and plays it. So he's giving us the information. We have to go out there and just do what we can best to get the result. And I think he's making sure every time that we're very well prepared for the game, having all the right instructions, all the right things to go and perform. So yeah, everything he's done from day one since he's been here has been amazing. I said hopefully we can continue and keep getting results and winning games.
You've passed the test. Well done, you. Couldn't have said it any better myself.
Any final questions for Callum?
Callum, there's been a few changes in attack in terms of players coming in.
Yeah.
Jesus has obviously come in and played a few games. How have you found working with him?
I think he's an exceptional striker. I think you can tell by the way he plays, very physical, very strong, very quick off the ball. So, as I said, you've seen the goals he's scored as well. He's different variety of goals that he's scored. So, yeah, it's a joy to work with him, whether it's in training or in the match. It's still the same thing. We still try to find a connection to be ready to, when we do play on the pitch, that we know what each player wants and what they need to get the best out of each other. So, yeah, it's a joy to work with him, and hopefully he keeps doing well and hopefully he brings the best for the team as well.
You scored a few big goals yourself last season, particularly in huge games. Is that something that you're hoping to replicate this season?
Hopefully, I think my aim is to try and score in every game I play. And to be fair, I don't think it's just the big games. I think no matter what game you play in, you want to be on the score sheet or trying to get an assist and help the team as much as possible. But at the same time, you got to do the work as well off it to get the result. And I think it's not always just about the stats at the end of the day. I think it's about the overall performance that you can help with the team and trying to help them, regardless if it's not scoring or assisting, just doing other stuff to help to get the result. So, yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Callum.
No problems.
Cheers, Cal.
Cheers, no problems.
What a mate.
Cheers. Good day, everyone.
Sure. Obviously the external
players, the full 79 players, I got looked after very well tomorrow night. And just speaking to a few of them, it seems as though they're really grateful about the way they're looked after here and the unity between the current setup, the past setup, and the link. Maybe you're even a link yourself. Is it worth mentioning the fact that there's such a big union now, a unity between past and present?
No, I just think the club, from not being in here myself, but from knowing them guys and Johnny Owen, who's a friend of mine, who did a lot for the film and brought them lads back together. But I think that the club have shown that the great respect they have for ex-players. It's tough, because not just that group. You imagine how many ex-players there are for Nottingham Forest and how many still live in the area. It's tough, because you don't want to pick and choose ideally, but there's only so many seats in the building, there's only so many areas they can use. But I think they do the best they can by them and other players, because I don't think it's an easy task. And I think them guys you're on about, just using them as an example, I think they do respect it. They do try and get looked after by the club, and I've witnessed that myself. I've been looked after. I've said that before I even came here. They always tried when they could to, give me a seat that wouldn't necessarily have me doing hundreds of selfies while I'm trying to watch a game. But they've always been really respectful like that, and long may it continue. It's they're great guys, particularly that generation. I'm bound to be biased because I class them as friends now, and they're great guys, all of them, and all the many stories they've told me and all the insight they give you, and they still come out with some bits of gold. They're wise men in football, and they still told me some bits of gold.
Yeah, I mean they've all got a story about Brian Clough, haven't they?
I don't know anyone who hasn't.
But that always comes up in conversation, doesn't it?
Yeah, but a lot of there's always a funny joke, but they do forget. Well, actually, no one forgets. He knew when to be serious. We all know that, and then players will tell you, and his man management skills and his ability to spot a player, Peter Taylor particularly, spot a player and then bring them players together and make it a unit. And very successful, as we all know. So, there's a great respect for that. The good, bad and the indifferent. Not every player can be a favourite. They've still got stories when they weren't favourite, and he certainly would let them know, let's say.
And back to the modern day, a lot of respect for the owner and what he's done for tomorrow night, and just in general remembering.
Yeah, and as I said when I got here, there were some question marks over the recent period and changing managers and all that, but you can't forget the whole journey. I don't think fans do. It's very quickly, the change in attitude and changing feel from fans because they're emotional and they care. But in the longer view, from outside, this is looking in. I mean, I'm inside now, but from the outside, there's a lot of work been done by the ownership group here and the model and the way they've been trying to build this club. I mean, huge amounts of work been done. And I don't think anyone forgets that. It's just that sometimes it gets parked while there's a different noise. And that was this season, it's been the change of managers. And that's dominated the noise, so to speak. But no, I think most Forest fans underneath that know the work that's been done by the ownership group since they came in.
How do you find the balance between, or what is your view on the balance between prioritising the Premier League and prioritising Europe? Where do you see where the land is on that?
Well, it's tougher because the first season back, and the thirst for it to be a successful season in Europa League, and in Europe. But the bigger picture is, the Premier League is still very dominant in the power that it has, and it's massive. It took a long time for this club to get back in there, in a couple of seasons when it was close, and then last season flew away, and had a fantastic season. So now it's trying to find that consistent value to that. I talk about it with the players, I talk about it in performances, but what about the club as a whole? How can you become a consistent sort of performer, at least performer, if not achiever, if you like, in the Premier League? It's not easy. It can take years of growth to get there. So I think the beginning of this season has just been a reminder of how challenging it is. So the Premier League is still massively important to this football club, without a doubt. And the European League, or Europe, or Europa League, whichever side you look at it, just from the point of being in Europe again, is brilliant for the history of the club and revisiting the history that we've just spoken about, and the future, and trying to be in there. But now you're here, don't forget. Make no mistake, whether we change teams or whatever, we're going into every game to win. I thought the last performance away, was very good. The first half, we could have been out, should have been out of sight, and then it all looks different. So we're working on all levels, but the Premier League is still very, very important. The thirst to get in the Premier League to this football club, having watched it from afar and played here, of course, and managed here, was massive. You can't forget that. The Premier League is still massively important to this football club.
You mentioned earlier, I think, that you'd had a month or so to assess your squad. I wonder how you view that in light of January and what's coming up. Do Minor team.
Well, the hardest bit has been not seeing everyone fit. You know, there hasn't been a stage when we've seen everyone fit. So, you know, that's been tricky. We know some of them obviously more depth with, you know, the Woodies and the likes because, you know, we've had them before as players. Some of the new players developing into their roles, developing into the club and the feeling of the club, and then getting everyone fit and on the grass. But I think when everyone is fit, it looks to me like a pretty strong squad as regards the challenge in front of us. There's no guarantees because that same strong squad wasn't doing so great, you know. So that's sometimes the fragile nature of football and footballers. But the way I look at it, I've been very pleased with the squad. Their mentality and their belief in each other and their belief in what we're trying to achieve has been excellent, to be honest. So we just want that to continue, hopefully get players fit again. And as we get players fit, make sure we're not losing other players. And then it all looks stronger. And that's what we need, that strength in depth to go forwards over this challenging next couple of months with lots and lots of games.
So you wouldn't necessarily envisage.
No, you've got to. January's forever an awkward window anyway, so there's no guarantees you get the right players who fit and all that in January. And you know, so I think the way that football is, and we spoke about this a couple of weeks ago, everyone's open-minded. You know, all clubs, and certainly the way me and my staff work, and we've already been speaking to the powers that be about what options, the recruitment side of things. You know, it's an ongoing process now. You know, keeping links with players, probables, availability, contractual situation, all of that. It's become part of the business, and I think most clubs, including this one, are always constantly keeping an eye out for what ifs, because we have been very stretched with injuries. Everyone knows that, and you know they come to a point we can't keep getting this stretched. We're going to need everyone to be fit.
Yeah.
Against Greenwich, you had 6 academy players in the squad. Tomorrow night in front of a home crowd, how big an opportunity could that be for some of those younger players?
Yeah, I mean, it does, you know, they do get experience from it, and whether they get on the pitch or not, it's still a magnificent thing to, you know, for them guys travelling or on the bench and the feeling what it brings. So, I mean, ideally, that means there's usually lots of injuries, unless they're doing very, very well, of course, the academy players who are coming through. But it's that yin and yang, you know. Ideally, I'd want all the first-team players fully fixed. We want to press hard on both competitions, current competitions, that is, before the cups kick in, and then. But from the other side of that, these young players are getting a chance. You know, they're being in and around it, and it's a great experience.